example 7 wants us to look at the roots of our equation and try to figure out some other answers that we could see. So if alpha and beta are roots of the equation 5x squared minus 10x plus 3 equals 0, find the value of each of the following. So we start off, and it says it wants to know what alpha plus beta is. Well, alpha plus beta, okay, is up here. It's going to be the negative b over a. So we want to figure out, okay, what are these terms? So if we look at our equation, b is going to be represented by negative 10. So we do negative 10 divided by a, which is 5. So what this is going to be, this is negative 10 over 5 is going to be 2. So it's that simple. The sum, we know that the sum of the roots of our equation are going to add up to make 2, which is could be helpful. So b, we know that the product of our roots, so alpha times beta, that is always going to be c over a. Well, c happens to be 3 over 5. So this is going to be 3/5. So that's very, very helpful. Now, we're going to use both of these at different times to help answer the remaining questions we have. So part C is going to take, we're going to have to see and look at a little manipulation here, but part C asks us to find what would, if we know this, what would alpha squared plus beta squared be? So we're going to continue to look at this. So I'm going to move down real quick. So for part C, it wants alpha squared plus beta squared. Right? So in order to find alpha squared plus beta squared, what I want you to do is think about in algebra, how can we create different values and different things for ourselves? So one thing that I know, and if I see alpha plus beta squared, one thing that I know is that if I have alpha plus beta squared, well, what alpha plus beta squared makes is alpha squared plus 2 alpha beta, plus beta squared. Now, while I don't know what alpha squared is or beta squared is, I do know that what alpha plus beta is, and I do know what alpha times beta is. So what I'm going to recommend is to place all the things that you don't know on one side, which mainly is the alpha squared plus beta squared, and I want you to move all the things you do know to one side. So this is going to be 2, it's going to be alpha plus beta squared minus the 2 alpha beta. So we're looking for alpha squared plus beta squared, but what we can do is we can do 2 of our known things together and kind of manipulate to figure out what this is going to be. Well, in this equation, we know from previously that alpha plus beta is actually 2. And we know that alpha times beta was 3/5. So if we kind of continue this along, we're going to get this is 4 minus 6/5. And so that's going to be 14/5. Okay, so even though we don't know a way to just square alpha, because we don't know what alpha is, we don't know what the root is, we can use algebraic manipulation to figure this out, if we can think about how to make this. So this is going to be one form that's going to be used a little bit. So make sure that you write down this note. It's got a star next to it. And then part D asks us about what's 1 over alpha plus 1 plus 1 over beta plus 1. Okay, so this is kind of an odd looking thing. How would I figure this out? Well, when we do, and this is also a star, when we add fractions, what we're going to do, so imagine we do like x over y plus w over z. What we're always going to get is you're going to multiply down, so x, z, whatever the symbol in the middle is, multiplying up y, w over y, z. So this is the form we can do to add any fractions together without a lot of work on our part. So I'm going to suggest going about and doing that. So this part is going to be the same thing as 1 times b plus 1, so that's b plus 1 plus a plus 1 times 1, which is a plus 1, over a plus 1 times b plus 1, or excuse me, beta plus 1. So we have this now. We can simplify this a little bit. So what we have on the top is actually alpha plus beta plus 2 over. Now, my suggestion for you right now is going to be to go ahead and multiply the bottom out, because we don't know what alpha is or beta is, but we can multiply these out. We're going to get alpha squared plus alpha plus beta plus 1. Okay, so or not alpha squared, sorry. It's my mistake. It's alpha beta. Okay, so we know, again, we know what alpha beta is. We know what alpha plus beta is. We know what alpha plus beta is. And we know what alpha times beta is. So we can go ahead and actually replace those and find our final answer. So we had at the beginning alpha plus beta was 2. So we do 2 plus 2. Divide that by alpha times beta. And so that was 3/5. And we have our alpha plus beta is plus 2. And we finally have a plus 1 at the end. So now we have a number that we can evaluate. And we can go and we can see this is 4 divided by, so 3/5 plus 3 is going to be 18/5. And then if you're ever dividing by a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. This is the same thing as 4 times 5/18. So we're left with 20/18. And if you want to reduce that, that is the same thing as 10 divided by 9. So even though it looks like we can't set it up at first, following some algebra and some manipulation, we can find things that we do know and replace them over time. So don't replace anything until you know what you have, and you can replace everything.